Today on the DML News podcast, Trump met with Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday to talk tariffs and things going on over in the Middle East. We also have a clip of Jasmine Crockett just showing the absurdity, claiming that migrants are here to pick cotton, and so much more, including the stock market rebounding. And we have it, and it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Good morning. It's Denny here on the microphone and Ryan behind on the controls. And we do have DML with us. He is just coming in via cell phone. He has an appointment he has to get to today. Dad, you want to tell everyone a hello?
Hello, everybody. And at some point, I'm going to have a phone call come in. I've got to take the phone call, but I'll be back.
All right. Well, as you know, Dad, about 30 minutes ago, the stock market opened back up, and it seems like we are on a little bit of a rebound here, which is coming after all the fear-mongering that the media, including those that are in the alternative media that we pointed out plenty yesterday, seems like they may have to all eat crow today, considering that it is not as dire of a situation as it was led to believe. But things are looking a lot back, or they're looking back up. So I think your take here is definitely going to be widely appreciated.
Yeah, look, yesterday when we had the show, while we were having the show, the 90 minutes that we did a long program yesterday. The stock market was down, the stock market was up, the stock market was down. It was trying to find its bottom. And when you look at something like that, that means that the market really isn't taking seriously all these threats that the media is putting out. If the market truly was overblown, and if the Trump tariffs were really going to be that detrimental to the economy as a whole, both short and long term, you'd watch the stock market still crash today. They would have turned it off. So the fact that it closed yesterday, actually the NASDAQ closed up 15 points. And now today you're seeing everything rally up. And look, it may pull back again today. That's the beauty of the stock market. It's got its ebb and flow, it's up and down. And for the media to sit here and because of 2 or 3 days of down days, not crashes, down days, to determine that Trump's tariffs are going to blow up the economy just tells you a few things, and I'm repeating from yesterday. A, there's a lot of people making money on Wall Street, and they need the volatility in order to make that gazillion dollars. B, you've got a lot of people who have no idea what they're talking about, like Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, and they're just jumping on the popular conversation to get clicks and to get shares. And then lastly, is that people just want to see Trump fail. And so they're going to look for anything that they can get their claws on to make it look like he's a failure. 2 weeks ago, it was the whole text messaging about the attack that we had to kill terrorists. Not one American was killed, not one American was harmed, but all these hypotheticals about how people could have died. Yeah, terrorists died. Okay, there was a mistake made. A journalist who was looking to make a name for himself stayed onto a thread that he shouldn't have stayed on. And when that whole narrative didn't stick in the media, they needed something else. And now we've got the tariffs, as if Trump just pulled this out of thin air. Trump has been talking about tariffs for 8 years. Okay, 9 years now. This is nothing new. And why weren't people jumping out of their skin during the election when Trump was going around from town to town, from rally to rally, talking about putting tariffs on China and on Mexico and on Canada? Why weren't they calling the warning signs then? Why weren't they hitting the bells then? And I'll tell you why. Because they knew that it wasn't that big of a deal. But they're looking for something to attack him on. And the people on Wall Street want to make a gazillion bucks. And this is the narrative. What's going to wind up happening is that what you and I have talked about on this program for many, many months is that the economy is going to come back roaring. It's going to be strong. There's going to be manufacturing. There's going to be new jobs. There's going to be opportunities like we've never seen before. But It's like a good stew. You've got to let it cook. And so by the end of August, I have all confidence in my 40 years of being in business. I started working when I was 14, 15 years old, and I've had my own business since I've been 16 and 17. What will happen by the end of August is you will see the foundation for one of the best economies that this country has ever had it will be laid, and you'll start to see the upticks. And these aren't going to be sudden upticks like it's this big spike. I got to take my phone call, Dennis. You can jump in.
Well, we'll just go right off of what you were saying there before you jump back in, which is you were saying that Trump has been speaking about this for a while. In fact, I see a comment from Denise here on Facebook. Trump talked about the tariff issue on Oprah when he was a young man. That is true. In fact, that it's a pretty infamous clip now that's been going around on social media. But there's no doubt that Trump is very knowledgeable about his history. In fact, I've been joking quite a bit now that I've been watching The Apprentice reruns. And last week when I was watching season 4, or maybe it was season 3, he had mentioned actually to one of the contestants, his foundation of being a successful businessman is to actually know your history, to know how things work. He says, if you don't know your history, how are you going to know how to play out your future? So yesterday, when he was meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, they had a range of discussions. They talked more about another potential ceasefire with Hamas. I believe there's going to be nuclear talks talks about nuclear power this Saturday with Iran, considering that's kind of a heightened situation. But yesterday, during his little press conference with Netanyahu, Trump basically addressed how up until 1913, the country was basically living off of the tariff strategy and it was thriving economically. And then we decided to introduce the federal income tax, and that's when things kind of maybe hit the can. So Ryan has that video. He's going to cue it up right now, and we'll let you guys take a listen.
We're setting a table, and we're going to have great trade, and we're going to have a very strong country. Our country is going to be at a level that has maybe never been, or maybe, our country was the strongest, believe it or not, from 1870 to 1913. You know why? It was all tariff-based. We had no income tax. Then in 1913, some genius came up with the idea of let's charge the people of our country, not foreign countries that are ripping off our country. And the country was never that kind of wealth. We had so much wealth, we didn't know what to do with our money. We had meetings, we had committees, and these committees worked tirelessly to study one subject. We have so much money. What are we going to do with it? Who are we going to give it to?
So look, one of the things that we had included in the 47 report, which you guys should all sign up if you haven't yet, 47report.com. I know most of you have, but honestly, you're looking for everything that's going on with Trump, and that's the newsletter to go to. He kind of basically said to Netanyahu yesterday, hey, I understand you're here to negotiate. I have a host of phone calls with different nations that are looking to negotiate. I know the EU, their commissioner, Ursula von der Leyen, she's looking to do some kind of 0 tariff policy with the U.S., but it seems like Trump is digging his feet in and staying firm with it, saying that there's no leeway anytime soon to lift those tariffs, which I think he's got to stick with it if they really are trying to make this so that we finally get a little bit of our fair take, considering the tariffs that were implemented on us for so long. So with that said, one of the things that I think has been kind of an issue for Trump is sometimes being misled to choose the wrong people here. So just gonna shift gears because we're gonna have to really kind of see how things play out for the rest of the week. I mean, as we just said earlier, the stock market is rebounding a little bit today. It's not as dire as everyone's making it out to be. But one thing that is a little dire here is who we have on the Supreme Court. Yesterday, and we wrote about this in the 47 report, the Trump administration got a major win because the Supreme Court ruled in a 5-4 ruling that the administration can indeed use the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal aliens linked to Venezuelans' TDA gang. Now, this is a reminder of what actually had happened prior. Judge Boasberg, one of those radical leftist district judges, tried putting an injunction on the Trump administration, I guess in support of derailing the idea of deporting illegal aliens and criminals. Well, the Supreme Court is now favoring Trump's decision to use that act, but in my opinion, it should have been a 6-3 ruling instead of a 5-4 ruling because Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who wasn't a Trump appointee, yet again has voted and ruled in favor with the liberals. In fact, when you kind of look at the breakdown, it was 5 men voting for, yes, the Trump administration has this authority, whereas all the women on the Supreme Court say, no, you don't have this authority. But again, this is another example of Judge Barrett or Justice Barrett basically imposing a block on the Trump agenda or attempting to. I mean, thankfully, we kind of skirt by with the majority and we win. But imagine if we were a little bit more on the thin razor margin there, and she still dissented with the liberals. So I'm very skeptical of her. She seems to be kind of an antagonist at this point to the Trump administration, and I believe in a way Trump during his first term was led astray in honestly choosing her, because I have found absolutely no benefit of her being on the Supreme Court compared to at least Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, which again, they don't always vote the way I would like them to, but by majority at this point, I've been largely unimpressed with Justice Barrett. Rye, what is your take here on Justice Barrett yet again kind of siding with the liberals here rather than, I don't know, maybe being appreciative that Trump just gave her like the lifetime job of being on the Supreme Court, and yet she is ruling in favor of protecting these illegal criminals and aliens?
Yeah, I don't have a camera on me today, but it's funny. I just saw again that video. I think it was during Trump's speech. It wasn't really a State of the Union, but she gave him like that death stare.
Yes.
Like that stare of like disgust. And I guess I'm just left wondering like what caused her, after Trump did put her in this position, to have such a disdain for him. I mean, that's what I'm left with. I mean, I see it as kind of betrayal, and obviously, what they voted on is what should be. But I just don't know what went wrong there. But I think she was a massive mistake.
Yeah, I see a comment from, I think it was from Loretta here. Right. If you want to call back Dad, he said he's done with his phone call. But just real quick, so Loretta wrote here, I'm thinking ACB may have been threatened somehow. I mean, if that's the case, then I don't know if she should really be on the Supreme Court, because we can't afford having compromised justices. But with that said, I think clearly here, even though it's a lifetime appointment, she is not someone we can count on at this juncture. Now, other things that were going on, someone wrote she needs to be fired. I agree. I wish we could fire the Supreme Court justices. And even someone mentioned here Mitch McConnell. I wouldn't be shocked if it was Mitch's suggestion here. Let's just say I can't wait for Mitch McConnell to no longer be in Congress. Now, another thing we had wrote here on the 47 report, and it's going to tie to our second video today, DOJ has been pretty much looking into all aspects and all sectors here of the different federal agencies. For example, we have Antonio Garcias. He is the head of DOJ's border team. So he's specifically looking over things that are kind of being misconstrued or corrupted at the border. For example, though, this is where it's a little bit more intertwined. He reported that about 1.3 million non-citizens are currently enrolled in Medicaid, costing an estimated $6.5 billion. That number had previously been 400,000 in 2021, before surging to over 2 million in 2024. So as they were investigating, while some of these legal immigrants on visas and green cards are those that are actually in the system, many, from what they found, are actually illegal aliens receiving maximum benefits with minimal repayment. Now, Gracias said he blamed the Biden administration's open border policies and expansive asylum programs for the surge in illegal crossings, noting that many illegals were released with court dates set up to 6 years out under notices to appear. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it would actually ever work out. If you're going to give someone a court appearance and it's 6 years away, something tells me they're probably not going to be showing up. He said Social Security numbers were issued to the asylum seekers with little vetting, many lacking proper ID, and about 23% of them had no fingerprint records whatsoever. That is grossly dangerous. And that is why when you see something like Amy Coney Barrett, siding with the liberals here on trying to protect these people that the Trump administration is trying to get out, in my opinion, she's not even a rhino. She's just a straight up liberal. Now, someone who is increasingly coming across my computer screen these days, and I wish she wasn't, is Representative Jasmine Crockett. She was at an event yesterday, and let's just say she's probably the worst person to make a case of why we should be keeping illegal aliens. She kind of references that we need them for farming, and then makes some kind of incredulous statement that we is not going back to picking cotton, whatever she was trying to push there. Something in my mind says maybe she's the one who's a little bit racist here. But we do have that clip, so Ryan's going to play it for us right now.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I know that's right.
Yeah, right. I feel every time I have to listen to her, I kind of lose a coupling of brain cells every time.
Oh yeah, I just lost a couple right there. I mean, like, what's the message there?
I don't know. I think that's.
We'd rather collect welfare than go work a job. Like, there is no more plantations. Like, I don't know what she's trying to get at.
I think, to your point, it's representative of the fact that there is no message. Literally, the Democrats have no message. Their message is, oh, we need illegal aliens because who's going to pick our crops and farm? Are you kidding me? We have the heartland in the Midwest. I'm sure someone's listening right now who is a farmer or knows a farmer. That is an American job, not something that could just be outgiven to illegal aliens.
I have a feeling that the people in that room, after she said like none of you guys want to farm, they probably got a little insulted. So then she just had to rip out the pick cotton race card in order to get the crowd back on her side.
Yeah, it's
pretty typical.
It's her little backup card. And truth, like, I love Texas, but what are we doing electing these people? Seriously, like, why is she in office? So I've heard her speak before. She can actually speak pretty intellectually. So why she's choosing this like ghetto trash?
It's like Harris. Didn't
be...
Harris have like 5 different accents when she was on campaigning?
Yeah, Kamala. She had her white woman accent, the black woman accent. Then she had like a little Latina accent that she would sometimes use depending on who she would speak to. Then she had her mumbled salad accent, which I think was just after a few shooters of vodka. And I'm sure her 5th one is probably where she taps into the Indian side when she wants to address that instead of saying she's just black. But thankfully we don't have to. I will say one of the biggest benefits of Trump winning is that I no longer have to listen to Kamala Harris speak on a daily basis, because that was starting to get very brutal to talk about on the show. And trying to interpret typically what she would say was very, very difficult too. Now, it's actually very interesting. So there's this book coming out, and we wrote it in we've been referencing it in the 47 report. I haven't bothered putting in the title because I doubt anyone's going to buy it. I think it's called Fight. And it's kind of one of those tell-all books about the Biden administration. And so far, there's been revelations of Biden was absent-minded at almost every single meeting, that Biden forgot at times that he was the president. And another revelation that came out, the book claimed Kamala Harris's former communications director, Jamal Simmons, had created a, quote, death pool roster of GOP-appointed judges who could swear her in if President Biden suddenly died. So it seems to me that the entire Biden administration was just kind of on death watch for basically the entire last 2 years of his presidency.
The entire administration was just a scandal. The whole thing was a scandal.
I
really hope the people that write the history books get that administration correct, because I'm a little nervous that they won't really write about it the way it should be.
One thing I've always joked about is I think one day Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary with marbles in her mouth, she is going to be one of those people, undoubtedly, who has one of those tell-all books to say that I was told to say this, I was told to say that. I just really wasn't sure what I could say because she would bring in those binders and yet she would say a whole lot of nothing. But
Yeah,
I'm
she'll
sure
probably rip that card out right when her career starting to end.
starting to slip.
Right when it starts to end, she'll come out with that all tell.
Yeah, once her irrelevancy hits an all-time fever pitch. So let's see what else we have here. Oh, so since we were speaking about SCOTUS, I'll go through some things that were included on the 47 report this morning. So Chief Justice Roberts also temporarily blocked a judge's order requiring the U.S. to return a deported Salvadorian national. He issued an administrative stay to allow the Supreme Court to review the case. Another bullet point we have here. 5 Minnesota sheriff's offices have signed agreements with ICE, allowing them to assist in immigration enforcement and defying the state's orders. Now, that is Governor Tim Walz's state there. So the fact that you got 5 different county offices that work for the police department saying, screw your initiative that I can't go help ICE catch these illegals, I'm going to go help them, which I'm hoping there's going to be more of that in these blue states where a lot of these sheriff's offices are going to step up and just almost defy their governor's orders and help out ICE here.
I mean, Trump hasn't deputized all the sheriffs, have they?
I would have to look that
Yeah,
up.
I think
Maybe
that's a move that he needs to do. He needs to deputize them to be able to carry. I know in Florida now, I think DeSantis just pushed that
yes, yeah,
to where all the sheriffs have to carry out,
right.
what ICE does.
On the state, yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
so
saying
I
if
think-
he could do it on a
Yeah,
federal
if he
level,
can do that on a
wherever he-
federal level and kind
Yeah.
of somehow force the states to get all the sheriffs deputized in order to carry out these
but just
to help
helping
ICE, because ICE is so underwhelmed or overwhelmed.
Right. I know. I'm just going to throw a state out there. I believe Massachusetts. They have their biggest difficulty is because Governor Healy is a radical leftist that they want to help ICE agents with a lot of these arrests and these raids, and yet they're kind of obeying the orders of standing down and only being in a minimal capacity, and that's I'm sure. That's very frustrating for a lot of police officers that want to do their job and protect their communities, and yet you got your radical bosses saying that no, hands off. Try to resist in helping ICE in any way, shape, or form, which is just totally insane in my mind. We didn't have this clip, but Trump yesterday, after he was meeting with Netanyahu, he hosted the LA Dodgers at the White House, and he made like a little jab at all the senators that have been losing. Yeah, that they're losing their heads over the fact that Trump is basically holding them accountable with the tariff strategy and not bending. I know Rand Paul is trying to push through legislation. In fact, we wrote about that too. I believe yes. So Senate Majority Leader John Thune said the bipartisan bill to limit President Trump's tariff authority is unlikely to move forward, citing that Trump will just have veto power over that bill. So thankfully, I don't think we have to worry too much about Congress getting in the way of disrupting the tariff strategy here.
No, I mean, I wish it was the Yankees that went to the White House.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Still not over that.
Well, and look, so one thing we had talked about, and we actually ran a poll on this, and I'd be very curious to see. It was in the 47 report, and I hope everyone gets to vote on it. One of the issues we had last week was that in trying to get the SAVE Act and a lot of other things with Trump's agenda pushed through, the bill was stalled because mixed in there was the whole voting proxy, or my apologies, proxy voting initiative that Representative Luna and others were trying to push. I'm dead against it. I think if you're serving in Congress, you made an oath to serve your people. You should be at every capacity to get into that Capitol building and cast your vote in person. And there's just way too many people in Congress these days who try to abuse that at every corner. So one of their solutions to this issue was vote pairing, which even when I kind of read through it, I'm like, it's still really a little iffy here. It's the idea that if one member is absent, their vote gets canceled out by the other side who is there. So it's like a weird solution that I don't think really solves anything, but I guess it gives Luna and all these I guess female representatives that are expecting to be pregnant very soon and need to leave office.
Don't we have bigger things that we should be putting to
I'm
the floor and voting on
Yeah,
instead
I'm
of
sure if you gave me a half hour, I could probably write out 100 things that could get done before worrying about proxy voting.
yeah, I just kind of find it to be a little selfish. There's
That's
millions.
Congress.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of selfish, so while Representative AOC is going on this oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders, claiming that the powers that be are, tyrannical and dictatorships and yada yada, she's flying first class to a lot of these events. So she's really helping form her I guess overall image here. What else do we have from Congress? Oh, so I actually like this. The Senate voted 53-39 to advance Elbridge Colby, who was President Trump's nominee for Defense Undersecretary for Policy at the Pentagon. Based on what I've read about him, he seems like he would be a solid. So hopefully, he has no issues there. What else do we have? Oh, Ryan, I thought you would just find this interesting. Maybe, since today is a short show, the Jackson Magnolia, which is the oldest tree on the White House grounds and believed to have been planted by Andrew Jackson, was removed by the National Park Service despite years of efforts, including support cables and a steel pole. But the tree is in irreversible poor condition, and thus it was taken down yesterday. So I guess it's a little bit of a bummer that a piece of history has been taken away from the White House, but it seems like it was ready to kind of fall and crash at any second.
Yeah, well, I'm shocked that they haven't taken it down already since it's Andrew Jackson.
I know. Well, yeah,
Like how they took down all the monuments and etc.
That's a good point. I actually, before we close up the show today, we posted this on Facebook. It was on the DML report yesterday. And this really isn't so much Trump based as it is, I think, we're just talking about history, but more so the future. Yesterday, it was announced that scientists, or a group of scientists working for a company called Colosso Biosciences, they're based in Texas, they were able, I guess you could say this verges on the aspect of Jurassic Park, they were able to take DNA combinations from the gray wolf and then DNA genetic markers from the long extinct dire wolf, which I think, if you want to correct me, Ryan, I know the size of this wolf is supposed to be huge, but in an act of almost playing God, these scientists have essentially, whether it's not necessarily the full dire wolf, they have almost resurrected and revived in a way a genetic hybrid of the dire wolf.
Yeah, I've seen some arguments about this that it's not really a dire wolf because, like in the movie Jurassic Park, they had to take stuff from frogs in order to make the dinosaurs. So they're saying like you're kind of mimicking a dire wolf, as where they went and took the genome, found which genes made the dire wolf, and then kind of just altered gray wolf. So it's kind of like a hybrid. It's not really a dire wolf, but has the attributes of one. So there's a lot of bickering online about if it's really a dire wolf or if they just kind of made a gray wolf resemble a dire wolf.
And now this same company is going to attempt to resurrect the woolly mammoth using mouse DNA.
Yeah, and then the dodo bird.
The dodo bird.
And then they also said another thing that they're doing is it's also for like helping extinct animals, which I don't know. So I think there's the red wolf or something, red fox, I don't know.
Yeah.
A red wolf that they just created for, and they're going to release it into the wild in order to help the gene pool for that extinct, because there's such little left. The genes are like not so diverse. It's kind of getting them sick. But I'm like, all right, well, you don't know like how genes are going to react. So it's like,
it's a slippery
when you mess
slope.
with nature, you never know what's going to happen. So I'm a little against it.
I think it goes to the argument of like, all because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, what's that quote in Jurassic Park? I'll look it up.
I think it was Jeff Goldblum's character, because I love that. I love those movies as a kid. In fact, I think Mom had taken us to see Jurassic Park 3 as a kid. But you would always think that's just going to stay in the aspects of fiction, and yet Elon Musk was tweeting about these dire wolves, and when you look at the pictures, they're adorable, but they're only just pups, and they're already pretty freaking huge.
Yeah, it's your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. So I think that's where we're at. If we could, what's the next thing? Like I mean, I know they did lambs in artificial wombs. Like, what's the next thing? We're gonna do this to humans. I mean, this is a big future dilemma, ethical dilemma that is gonna start coming our way, along with the million other things.
I always say if they could do it for wolves and for lamb and apparently the woolly mammoth, what's to say to your point that they wouldn't start kind of maybe delving into
who knows
the
what
human
China's
aspect.
doing in their
China's definitely probably got
labs.
some Wuhan lab is one thing with what they're experimenting over there, but you can only imagine the labs that we haven't heard about, that they probably have some very sketchy things going on, things that probably look like a horror show if you were actually to walk in, especially with the idea of growing artificial limbs and things of that nature. I mean, again, for an amputee, that would be fantastic. It's just when is it almost maybe too much, and how far do we go until? I mean, even with robotics, Elon Musk was talking last week or 2 weeks ago about his prediction of how by 2030 we're going to have like basically an iRobot world where just humanoid robots, and we've talked about it on the show before, are going to be just kind of commonplace. It's a little crazy here to with all that we have to worry about when it comes to tariffs and illegal immigration and inflation. There's always the other avenue of like, oh, what medical and science, like just science advancements are we making that maybe just are going a little too far
and being unlooked at. I mean, these direwolves were created months ago, so
yeah,
no one knew about it until they put it out there.
Until
so who knows how many things are going on that they want secret
that haven't been announced yet, at least too. Yeah, I mean, if the woolly mammoth came back, that would be kind of cool. All right, well that's it for today's show. We had to make it a short one considering yesterday we went plenty long and DML wasn't able to join us back in. But thank you guys for tuning in today. Please sign up for the 47 Report at 47report.com. We're also in our last few days here of the DML CBD BOGO special. So just go to dmlcbd.com/BOGO. We actually have a lot of orders that went out yesterday and more going out today. So definitely hop on that because I believe it ends April 10th. But if you have any issues, you can always email Ashley. She always is very prompt with a response. Just do ashley@dmlcbd.com. And with that said, I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday. And as for today's Team DML blessing, I would like to give it to Richard Shea. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.